You're tuned into the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla, Kallander, and Andrew Yaggie. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go.
It's the It's Real podcast. I'm Kayla Kallander, and I'm a mortgage lender.
I'm Andrew Yaggie, and I'm a real estate agent. Happy episode 116, Kayla.
Happy 116. How are you doing today?
Oh man, I'm feeling I'm treading water and trying to stay afloat. It's been a week, and as we're recording this, it's only Tuesday.
I know it's been a week and it's only Tuesday. Yeah, some days are like that. Every now and then, my Wednesdays feel like Mondays and my Fridays feel like Mondays, and that's just real estate, right?
Yeah, it is. Like we talk, and again, I talk often about working in funeral service forever, and again, never downplaying the significance of death, but the emotions in real estate are real.
Mm-hmm. I'm feeling that now more than ever, and I still think there's some type of thought or feeling about, hey, just because I can get my groceries delivered to my door, I should be able to get my mortgage no problem at all. And I think people kind of have this assumption when they go into this of like, oh yeah, I'm going to get pre-approved. I just upload my info and you give me a letter and I make an offer and I like the payment, and there's just so much more to it. And what I've noticed, Andy, is that the way people respond, it says a lot about themselves. And I think that now more than ever, we're seeing probably a different, like generation reacting to having to do a little work like upload a bank statement or, get me a clear copy of your photo ID. So anyway, my 2 cents today.
Yeah, there are certainly some positives to, technology, to AI.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we can get information or answers to just about anything seemingly so easily, and there's some really great pieces to that, but it also makes life a little bit more challenging, again, in that there are some people that are self-proclaimed experts or they think they know better, and again, it does make life a little bit challenging, but I think it's kind of the cycle that we're going through kind of in life. I mean, things are always shifting in the real estate market. They're always shifting in the financial market with rates and everything else. I think, values, the human persona, just thought processes are always shifting too. And we have to just constantly be, kind of adjusting and, kind of changing how we interact with people as well.
Yeah, it's true. And I think that just everything changes, right? In this industry, things are always moving. I think that the way technology and AI and everything is just rapidly moving forward, I can tell now, Andy, maybe you can too, when someone is copying and pasting things into chat or Claude to ask me questions, because I'm like, you don't even know what you're asking, but you're asking it because Claude told you to. So it's very interesting how amazing it is to have, but yet I think it holds people back because it confuses them. It said I should ask my mortgage lender these 75 questions. So take the good with the bad, right?
Yep. Yeah, AI is not always correct, and AI is not always something that'll give you the right answers or not always please you. Like today, I'm getting the notice from Manus, one of my go-to AI development platforms, that your account will be deleted and back up by such and such a date. Manus was purchased. It started Chinese, went to Singapore so they could sell it to Meta, Facebook and Instagram. And they did until the Chinese government found out about it and said, oh, no, you're not going to Singapore wash this business and sell it to the U.S. because, of course, U.S.-China relations, aren't exactly top-notch. And, it's kind of an arms race in the AI world, too. So I really enjoyed it because it's kind of an all-in-one platform from, being the AI agent to being autonomous to being able to host things. But unfortunately, I've got a few too many dependencies there, which I'm now feverishly working on moving items from there. So they did say, well, because of how we have to unravel and go back to old ownership, everything has to be deleted. Hey, here's a simple one-step path for you to back everything up. But then we're going to be down for 2 days, and then you can re-import everything. It's like, well, I don't know about you, but a lot of things that I'm doing, I can't have 2 days of downtime. No. So working a little bit feverishly. So amidst all of the real estate fires and problems we're having to deal with some AI ones too. But I guess the moral of the story, Kayla, is that there's no easy button in life. I mean, anything
Mhm.
worth kind of going after, achieving, it isn't easy. I mean, yep, is there someone a 1 in a million chance you could get lucky and just knock it out of the park? Yep, but most of it requires hard work, and
Mhm.
success is not linear. I was just telling some clients of mine that last night as we found out that, hey, we're in Lakes Country. We put an offer in on a gorgeous lake property, and so did two other people, and we didn't get it, which is always frustrating because, hey, especially when you have a really nice offer. But again, so even though we talk about the market being softer, Lakeshore's been a little softer. If
Yeah.
people really see something desirable that they really like, it changes the game a little bit.
Hmm. Ups and downs always. The emotions, like you talked about, like at the beginning, a lot of emotions, a lot of things. Things are moving and shaking. You're getting calls from AI people, but you wouldn't even know. I think that this mortgage and real estate is so rewarding, but it's just a different beast. And I can't speak about any other industries because I haven't really been in any other industries, but I just think of everything that my team and we learn every single day. Something changes with a guideline or a rule. And think of what we've been through, Andy, from COVID to high rates to lower rates to refis to, I mean, it's been a wild ride and it will continue to be ever changing.
For sure.
We'll
It
take it.
absolutely will. So obviously trials, tribulations, but what's good that's going on in your life right now, Kayla?
What's good that's going on in my life right now? Have a wild week, which is good because there's a lot of good stuff going on. I think I told you last time, my dog is going to be in Project Runway tonight. So that's
Very
exciting
good.
for Homeward Animal Shelter. And I've got the Disrupt HR event this week, Thursday at the Lights in West Fargo. That's a great community event that, everybody comes together, about 300 attendees. And I thought I saw there was a chance of rain and we need it. I cannot believe the boulevards, if people don't have sprinklers, I see yellow grass everywhere. I don't know about you in Fergus, but it has been wild weather of just heat. There's no rain in sight, maybe next week, but it's just
Yeah.
been a hot summer, man. So I
Yeah, it
guess
has
that's
been.
good.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
what's going on in your world? What's new with you?
Oh man, had a great weekend. Yeah, minus the lake property we didn't get under contract that I
Mm,
spent some time with buyers, but had a nice weekend kind of with some family. Some of my wife's family was up and had a nice time actually. Um,
good.
Went back and did music at church for the first time in like over a month. So
Wow.
that was actually really fun. It's really fun, to get to do music
Yeah.
and I had a big crowd and a lot of really appreciative people that also appreciate how big of a part music is, to
Yeah.
a celebration, a worship experience. So that was really good. And I don't know, just we actually had a great night last night with some friends. They live on a
Oh, yeah.
smaller lake nearby, and so we actually didn't get home till after 10 o'clock last night, which is way past my bedtime. So
Mhm. Me
I
too.
slept until about 6:30 this morning, but just a beautiful summer night, having a bonfire.
Mm.
All the kids were playing, having a great time, and yeah, hopefully rain. I was just going to look again. I thought today was going to rain, but we've got a chance Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
Mhm.
Saturday. I hope it rains every one of those days, and then I see Monday, Tuesday next week because yes, it is dry. And for some of us who are involved in farming to some degree too, it's like
Yeah.
we really, really need some rain.
I need a little bit. By the way, are you a wee fester?
I am not a wee fester. I went once in college, like probably my our junior year at NDSU, and I don't know. We always talk about it. My wife would really love to go, and we talk about it every year. And oh, next year we're going to go. Next year we're going to go. I
Yeah.
actually had a good friend offer me some tickets on one of the earlier nights, but we had a wedding to go to, and it just
Didn't work out.
it didn't quite work out. So,
Yeah.
how about you?
I mean, we used to go when I was in college. I think that was like such a big deal. And we'd camp and do all the things. And then, no, absolutely not. I would never camp again. But we went last year, VIP, and it was totally different. But just my 2 cents, take it with a grain of salt. I don't love the lineups. They used to be like these huge lineups, Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, Carrie Underwood, the
Yep.
Dix, like everybody you knew. And now I'm like, who is that? And I don't know, maybe I'm just not in with country music. I feel like I am, but I feel like that headliners aren't as dramatically like wanted, I guess. But
Mhm. Right.
so maybe next year we'll see.
Hmm. Yeah, I was thinking kind of the same thing. I was also thinking and wondering, what is the life cycle of WeFest, for instance? We know that no business is ever going to stand the test of time. Everything's going to kind of run its course, and is that coming to be? Especially as, again, we're a more scattered world, we're more digital online.
Yep.
I don't know, even, you look at the number of people, like I look at the beer manufacturers who aren't selling what they did before because the younger
Yeah.
generations don't drink like they used to, which has a trickle down. Like I look at my dad and some of our family that has raised a lot of barley for some of the malting companies, that all of a sudden, oh, there's no place. Like even the Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light thing that happened a few years ago, majorly even affected farmers in rural Minnesota, because all of a sudden, the market they had their crops sold to, all of a sudden that market was gone off of one poor piece of PR. Think
Yeah.
about that.
Wild. Yeah. And I guess you never know. I guess time will tell, but I feel like, yeah, the people don't drink as much as they used to. Back in our day, it was like that was the thing you did. You'd go out, and now it's like people are so health conscious. I can't imagine what, I know we're kind of going off on a topic, but like what liquor sales look like now compared to what they used to. I mean,
Mhm.
I know more people now that don't drink than do. So it's just interesting, and it's a good point. I wonder what the life cycle of WeFest is. So
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
that and so many other things. What's the life cycle of Kayla Kallander working in mortgage?
Oh, I don't think I should answer that today. I don't think it's a good day to ask that. That's a great question. Time will tell.
Yeah, I'm with you. We had our time to vent, had our little therapy before we came on, and I
Um,
feel you. I feel you.
I think that you need to have therapy with people in the industry, because I could be wrong, but like spouses and friends that aren't in the industry, they don't get it. I'll have comments from people being like, you're on your phone a lot, or why do you need to help that customer? Well, if you were my customer, you would want me to be on the phone with you on a Friday night at this time while you're writing an offer. So I think you need therapy friends in this business. So Andy, thank you for being a therapy friend.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure, Kayla.
Oh,
More therapy later, but in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about real estate and mortgage. And one thing we talk about quite a bit, has to do with rates. Everybody wants to talk rates, and as we often talk, Kayla, a rate is an important piece, but it's a very small part of the overall equation.
mhm.
But let's humor the crowd and let's talk rates a little bit, and specifically, Realtor.com just coming out today with this article talking about mortgage rates predicted to rise before settling back to 6.5. So,
Mm.
Kayla, set the stage for us. We look at the Mortgage Bankers Association reports quite often, and what they're telling us, and we've seen predictions all over the place. But set the stage
Mhm.
for us and kind of where this is telling us we're going to go.
I think so many people have, we talked about this before, marry the house, date the rate. And we talked last week about that True Work survey that came out that talked about, I think it was 1 in 5 people are saying that they can't afford their home unless rates drop. And so I think there's a lot of people that, again, maybe even kept up with the Joneses. I'll figure it out later. I'll get a promotion. I won't have daycare anymore. Well, life happens, right? And so I think that there's a lot of people that listen to their dads or just have high hopes of rates are going to drop because in 2020 and 21, that's what we saw. And so many individuals are hanging their hat on that. But the 30-year fixed mortgage has been on a steady upward march for 6 weeks, this article says. So right under 6.7%. And that was up from July 2nd, 6.43. And what gets me is that's the highest it's been since July of 2025, according to Freddie Mac. So that is, people are waiting. I had a client last week that said to me, "Hey, this lender just reached out and said I should refinance." And I said, "No, remember when we talked in January, we were at that 599 for a hot minute. She could have refinanced." And now they're getting targeted to refinance when rates are the highest. So I think there's a little bit of remorse with people, but it's just unpredictable. But it just reminds us of how sensitive the market is. And I think that at the end of the day, if you're just focused on rate, you are giving up that equity. You're giving up that hope, that dream of home ownership. So it really has to come down to you can't play this game of waiting or hoping. It's what do you want? What are your goals? What does your family need? And you really need to get clear on that and then decide, should I buy today? Because we talk all the time, Andy, you can never change the price of the house that you buy it at, but you can potentially refinance or sell or whatever it looks like, do a buy down. There's always options, but
Recast.
yes, a recast, very common, a recast. But I think the thing that people are just banking on is they're going to save money, but over time these prices are increasing. And now we saw rates, doing an increase since July of 2025. And this even says Optimal Blue expects rate sensitivity to continue weighing on borrower demand. The company says purchase volume declined 12% in July. I felt that. And mortgage rates rose 26 basis points. So ultimately, they're talking about how mortgage rates can increase even further before maybe easing off of it. So at the end of the day, though, Andy, you can't lock a rate unless you're in contract. And you can't get in contract until you get pre-qualified. And you can't get pre-qualified until you talk to a lender. So moral of the story, have the conversation now, but you really just can't time locking in when rates dip or when they're at their lowest.
Mm-hmm.
But beware, we could see a rise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's given that we'll probably see a rise, but eventually we'll get back to, where we need to be. Not soon enough for some individuals, but
No.
I don't know. I guess we just, it's kind of like a game of poker, Kayla. You got to play the hand in front of you and just kind of have to roll with it.
Yeah. And I think it's just one of those things where if you take that emotion out of it and you think about the things that you really need and want for your family, I think that's the biggest thing.
Right on. Kayla, we talk quite a bit, speaking of family and goals and everything. We talk about wealth a lot. And, one of the largest ways for individuals to build wealth is through homeownership, that retirement accounts. And with that, we crossed a major milestone, Kayla, in that just recently, mortgage data showed 18 trillion in equity. So homeowners have 18 trillion for the first time in history, which is really, really huge. So again, a lot of wealth tied up in homes. On the downside, though, they're also seeing another big number. 813,000 borrowers are underwater on their mortgages, which is up 44% year after year, or year over year. So good news and bad news with that. What do you think about that?
I think two things can be true, and they are, right? Like, we're seeing people gain equity because there's proof that owning a home, continually, depending on the area you're in, 3, 4, 5% equity gain or appreciation gain. Plus, you're paying down, your loan balance, so you're creating equity. But I think that, back to what I said earlier, there's a lot of people that said, I'm just going to buy now and I'll figure it out later. And I think we're seeing the results of people, pulling back from taking job offers or having kids or whatever it may be in your life because they've committed to this payment that they weren't comfortable with. And I think we have to normalize having conversations with clients and trying to set them up for success, but also being a responsible consumer and saying, can I really afford this? What am I giving up? What am I willing to do to keep this home? And so when I see that was at 100 and I don't remember the stat, 181.
13,000.
Yeah. When I see that, I'm not really surprised because I do see debt to income ratios. I see what people are spending that we don't take into account in debt to income ratios. We don't take your phone or your daycare unless it's VA. You're spending. I don't see necessarily what you're spending at a restaurant. Sometimes I see your loans, but where are you spending? And I think people really need to kind of hone it back in and decide, what is it worth to get this house? So that's my thoughts on it. How about you?
Well, I think a couple of caveats with this report. First of all, I maybe should have mentioned earlier, but the majority of the individuals that are in that 813,000 group of borrowers are individuals who are in Florida or Texas. So obviously, during COVID, saw the market just blow up. Everybody in mass migration. Even now, Florida is still seeing a ton of growth, but they've also seen a huge correction in terms of prices. And this also, Kayla, I think predominantly affects individuals who are using an FHA loan or a VA loan. VA, especially when most people are putting nothing down and financing 100%. So here you go and you dive into a new home, say 2 years ago in Florida, VA 100% finance, all of a sudden the market corrects by 10, 20, 30%, depending on, maybe not quite that much, but the market's majorly corrected. So now all of a sudden, negative equity, major problem. And actually, I think we're starting to see that a little bit in our area too, not much, but I had a couple of months ago, I had some individuals who came who were VA buyers 2 to 3 years ago. They came here and were living, put nothing down. I didn't sell them the house, but I relisted it, and we basically had them break even at closing. Just because, again, they didn't have any skin in the game. I've got another seller right now where we're in a very similar spot, and again, I think we're going to start seeing more possible distressed sales.
Yeah, and I think that's I know 0% sounds great, from physician loans to USDA to VA, or a little down or getting assistance, but you have to remember those things too. And that's why asking questions and setting clients up for success after they buy, not just to get the house, is so important. So important. But that's a client. Do you want to take that?
No, it is my CRM, and no, I'm not going to take it. But sorry.
Could be a lead.
Sometimes I've got to look around. You get so many browsers open on your computer, and you're like, okay, where is that?
It's like my head. I hear you, man. I'm like, where did that go? Or I can't find my mouse because I have 4 monitors. I'm like, where's my mouse?
Oh man. Well, hey, you were just making a really great point that I really liked, and kind of talking about asking questions, Kayla. Actually being, maybe a little bit of curiosity versus just giving someone an instant answer, or giving them, kind of telling them what they want to hear. The biggest thing that I've learned now as I'm, going from year 6 to 7 in real estate is, again, you can't ever work with everybody. You're not going to work with most people. Most people will never work with you. But it's just, how do you find those people that you're really aligned, and this feels really good, and it's really, really fun. And a big part of that is asking questions, being curious. And again, if you don't know the people, especially, just really fact finding to say, hey, is this something that would be a good fit?
Well, I think that a lot of us think certainty, makes us look good, but curiosity and asking questions gets you better answers. And there's actually neuroscience behind asking questions, that the most liked people are not the wealthiest or the smartest or the funniest. They are the ones that ask the most questions, especially follow-up questions. And people like to talk about themselves. And so when people get asked questions, it triggers dopamine. And so when I think about helping somebody and I start asking them questions, and another lender hasn't asked them a thing, who do you think they're thinking might care more or might be more interested? Is the person that's asking questions. And so I don't do that to be better liked. I do that because prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. In order to set somebody up for success, we need to know what your goals are and what your fear is and what you want to do and what your 5-year plan is, because so many people get into these loans like we were talking about and have no plan because nobody told them. There's more to getting pre-approved than just the letter and getting the house. It's what's the plan after. So one of the things that I always do, Andy, is I have a discovery call, even if it's 10, 15 minutes. And I have questions that I ask people that I have found over time have helped me better set them up. It could be, do you have pets? Will you be the only one on the loan? It could be very, tell me about your job. It could be, are you expecting any, large gifts or deposits? These questions that I ask are for a reason, but it's also to get to know people too. Like, what are you most excited for? What are you scared about? I know you're a single woman and you're buying a house. Tell me more. Let's talk through that. And I think that by doing that, people also kind of let their guard down and they feel more at peace knowing, wow, this person isn't just giving me a piece of paper. But there's a lot of things that I do. And I've tried to be more curious and try to ask better questions because, yeah, it takes more time. It does. It takes a lot more time. But in the end, that is what's important for the client, getting into the
Mhm.
house, but staying happy and having peace after. Is there
Mhm.
anything that you do that, any certain questions that you ask clients that maybe seem out of the ordinary or what other people don't ask?
Yeah. So I really learned, and again, when you get into, I think, this career, this profession, you kind of think, hey, I've got to be everything to everybody.
Yeah.
And again, that couldn't be further from the truth because you'll pull your hair out trying to serve people that you're not aligned with, Kayla. And so I look at when I'm working with individuals, yeah, I have a fairly prescribed process. Do we always follow it to a T? No, because there are always exceptions. But uh, I want us to mutually succeed. I look at this as, hey, this is a partnership between us because, hey, if we're not successful and we don't sell your house, you're not reaching your goal, you're frustrated, you're not getting to where you want to be. If we
Mhm.
don't help sell your house on my side, hey, we don't get paid generally. And kind of the same thing on the lender side too. And so I really want to make sure that number one, I'm setting you up for success and that we're set up for mutual success. I've had a number of people recently, especially with some more interesting properties that are maybe more along the lines of something that would draw an investor. Yeah, it could certainly be an individual buyer, but unique properties. And we've kind of made a name for ourselves, especially when it comes to marketing. So we get a lot more individuals that are reaching out that are attracted to us. With that attraction, Kayla, comes a lot of very difficult discussion,
Mhm.
and actually a number of individuals that just choose not to work with us,
Mhm.
and that's okay because again, it's like any type of relationship. If it's just not going to work and we're not aligned from the beginning, why work together? Go find your
Mhm.
people. If
Mhm.
you have a certain goal and or vision, and I don't see that, there's somebody else out there. But I'm not going to sit here, Kayla, and lie to you and say, and just kind of be that order taker, not ask questions, not be
Mhm.
curious, and not share my experience that I've had from buying and real estate myself, investing, flipping, doing new builds. I'm not going to set my experience and my knowledge of the market aside just to appease you so that, you know, you're hearing exactly what you want, only to be frustrated 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
Mhm. Mhm. I see that a lot too. It's not setting the tone or not setting expectations. I had a client today get upset because we asked for bank statements. I said,
Why?
"Hey, Brandon,
What's upsetting about that?
here's why people get upset. They have something to hide, or they don't know how to get a bank statement, and or three things actually. It's too much work for them." And that's the thing is like we've become this soft society of like, sorry, I sound like I'm complaining, but it's like I see these things, but to me, it's like that's what you're talking about is you have to decide, do I want to wrestle with this person? Or do I want to find the people that really know, like, and trust who I am and that I'm setting them up for success? And I think that's where a lot of us, I was just talking to an individual today. We see social media, Andy, and we see these realtors that are crushing it with these teams. Or I see these lenders that are doing millions and they're crushing it with all these teams. Anything in life that is worth having, like you talked about at the beginning, it's hard, it's difficult, right? Being broke is hard. Having, a team and being wealthy is hard. Everything is hard. It
Choose your
just
heart.
depends on your perspective. What's that?
I said, choose your hard.
Choose your hard. And so anyway, I'm kind of digressing here, but I just think that at the end of the day, that by aligning yourself with the right referral partners, right people, I mean, you cannot be for everybody. Gucci is not for everybody, and they're just doing fine. But I think there's the reason I brought this up is I think there's a lot of this comparison game that we think we should be doing more. We should, keep going, keep going. And at some point, you just got to be grateful for what you have and find the people that want to work with you because I don't know about you, but I would rather not have 10 deals a year and 10 very difficult clients who just use ChatGPT and don't trust us than have the income and a bad Google review because, their idea of a mortgage is different than mine. So, anyway, that's kind of where I'm aligning with more people that
Yeah.
want to work with.
Same. And I try to instill all of that in my team too. And I even tell individuals like, hey, this is your property. You can do whatever you would like with it. It's just, we might not be the ones to work with you because, again, our model is not built on being an order taker. And I mean, of course, if we do work together, we have certain duties to the client: obedience, confidentiality, reasonable care, disclosure, among others. But again, I'm not going to sit here and be like your dad and say, oh yeah, absolutely, your property is worth that. Yeah, I don't know why someone wouldn't pay X number of dollars for it. It's like, well, that's not my job. My job is to say, hey, this is actually what you have. This is the market you're in. This is the reality of the current market overall and where interest rates are. And you say you want to move this quickly. You're not setting yourself up for success. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and agree with everything you're saying when I know it to be contrary because I'm living the market every day.
Have the hard conversation now or have it later when it's not ideal timing. It's choose your heart. So, amen.
I actually did have a conversation with an investor client who they really want to get rid of a property and move it and actually spend quite a bit. I mean, I've spent a lot of time. Communication's been a little bit difficult. They're very busy, and I think in some different places, and it's been challenging. But they're really eager to get things going, but don't want to give me the information that I need. So finally, I'm getting a little bit more of what I need. And I probably spent a solid hour or so working on this today, and kind of interesting. They were. We had a text thread, and one of them had texted the other about the email and about me when I was in the thread. And I mean, it wasn't anything over the top, but it's always amusing, and we've all made that mistake before. But
oh my gosh!
At the end of the day, I'm going to be honest with you, and we just might not be the right fit, and that's okay. There are a lot of other agents out there,
and I think you just have to decide. Is it right for you and is it worth your time? And there's a lot of great people to work with, a lot of great, clients. And I mean, the impact we can make is immense, but you have to decide who you want to work with.
Well, and even beyond this, even for individuals listening who are like, hey, I work for somebody else, or I'm not in real estate, I'm not in mortgage, but just be curious. Like I see a lot of things pop up on social media about being a better conversationalist. And it comes down to curiosity, asking questions. People love to talk about themselves. Just be curious.
You'll never regret asking someone a question or a follow-up question. So whether that's a family member or a client or colleague or your next client, like just genuinely ask and listen and be curious. At the end of the day, you'll be very happy you did.
Right on. Well, that wraps up 116, Kayla. Thanks for connecting as always, and have a great rest of the week.
I will if you will.
See ya.